My hat! I'm starting out with bag 9, step 1. So this is the shock assembly. Now, one of the things really quick on these pistons, if you look at the pistons, they have a different shape on one side and the other. They also have a number. This one says 1.5, so you want to make sure you match them up. This one says 1.5, so those go together. And let's see, 1.6 and 1.6. There's also a smooth side, and then there's one with a small little dimple. That's going to matter once we start assembling, as the smooth side goes toward the top. Now you're going to have 2 short shafts, 2 long shafts. The short shafts go with the short bodies. Those are the front shocks. I'm going to begin with one of those. It doesn't really matter which one you begin with. Something that I recommend for this is just some of this green slime. You can use grease, but you're going to have to lube a bunch of parts. So we're going to start with the body. So I'm going to do one on camera. And you need a 1.5 millimeter driver and just a little bit of thread lock, not too much. And now you're going to need a washer. So the washer is going to fit right on top of the shaft, and it's on the part that, so this on the female side, not the male side. Once you have that, you're going to be grabbing the, let's see, front, so 1.5 for the front. This is the 1.5, if I'm not mistaken, 1.5. So there's the 1.5 piston, and that's it. There we go. Now, don't worry about it too much if you don't have the tool to tighten this, and the reason why is once this goes through the shock body and you mount the bottom, you just stick a driver here, hold it, and then twist, and everything will tighten itself. But that's it for this portion here for the piston. At this point, to be honest, I'm just going to assemble this so I can be sure that I'm not making a mistake later on, that I didn't mix them up, the front and rear. So let me just do both of the fronts. So again, we grab a washer on the female side. Go ahead and put the washer in. You put the piston. Remember, the smooth surface goes on top. And that's all we do. All right. Perfect. All right, now we grab the body. This is where you have to lubricate a bunch of stuff. So notice these little items here. So there's a few little spacers, and those spacers are over here. So there's a spacer, they look sort of like little hats. There's going to be one on the bottom, one on the top, and they're going to face, one of them, the bottom one faces down, so the small side goes down, and the one on top, the small face goes up. So keep that in mind. Now you're going to have a medium-sized spacer. This is the plastic one that will go in the center. So I'm just placing them here. And then you will have those O-rings, which are these larger ones right over here. So we will need 2 of these. And these are the ones that you want to lubricate. So there's a total of 8. Perfect. So let's go ahead and get started. Actually, I'll dab some on this other finger. And go ahead and, all right. These are really the most important ones. So again, the small part of the hat goes toward the body. And if it sort of flips or turns on you, just grab a driver. I think I did this backwards, I did. is it. I can grab this, that'll go in there. Followed by the spacer. Go in there. And the reason why you really need to lubricate these is so that the shaft doesn't create tears when you insert the shaft. Now this one, the hat, the large side goes up toward the body, the small side goes toward the bottom. And after that, we need an O-ring, and it's the smaller one. Now I still have some lube on my fingers, which is why one of them kept getting stuck. So I'm just lubricating the whole O-ring, and this will go right in here, just there. And that's pretty much it. And then you can go ahead and cap it off. Now do not tighten this fully yet, and the reason why is if you leave it a little loose, it'll make it easier for the shaft to slide in, which is what we need to do. But before I do that, let me go ahead and lubricate the shaft as well. Now you can go ahead and tighten everything fully. And if you're wondering what this part of the tool was for, that's what it's for. All right, that's pretty much it. So now we just need the bottom link and a driver. So you take your 1.5, stick it right in there, and then make sure you grab it. And then just turn, and like I mentioned, when you turn this, everything's going to tighten. So the piston will tighten, everything will tighten. Really, the tool to hold the shaft, you really only need it when you're taking them apart. There we go. And that is it. So that's one almost complete. So let's begin with the other parts. I'm going to need another O-ring. That's going to be one of these larger ones. And the reason why you have so many of these larger ones is you're going to need some for these collars as well, as you will see in a bit. Let me just put a little more of this on here. Perfect. But first, let's go ahead and place this one up here. Something else that you want to do is you want to pre-tread the shock cap. So shock cap, it's easier if you pre-tread it, that way. Sorry, I kept saying thread, pre-thread it. That way once you are installing everything, it's a lot easier to cap everything off. I'm going to go ahead and pre-thread this. And then just remember the screw's cutting into the plastic, so just make sure there's nothing in there. All right, so that one is set. So at this point, I'm actually ready for the oil, as you can see over here, and then it just guides you as to how to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and put oil. I'm going to use the stock oil, so I'll use 45 in the front, 35 in the rear. And then you just drive the piston up slowly and bring it back down. You're going to be doing this to push all the air bubbles out. I just filled the little meniscus, so everything is good. I'm just waiting for those bubbles. I'm gonna ride this up a little more. And I don't think the camera's catching it, but a bunch of little bubbles just surfaced and then they started popping. If you have a place to set the shocks, where did I put mine? Anyway, you just leave it there and then the air bubbles will just continue popping. You can also grab a needle or a small driver and then just pop them yourself. That also works. These are almost finished. Let me check. Yep. All right, so now I want to grab the cap, twist left first until you hear a click, then go right. And do that so you don't cross thread the shock cap. Keep in mind this is a plastic shock cap. And then you can go ahead and tighten this fully. Perfect. Now, there's a variety of ways to do this. Now, let's see, which way do they recommend? So they probably go up and down, and then hold it all the way in. Yep, hold it all the way in. There's gonna be some oil that's gonna come out, and then you just plug it. That's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and grab this. Let's see, so now we're going to install one of these. Now, for this one, I'm just going to use black grease because this is going to go on the outside. That is way too much. I'll fix the cap later. All right, and this is going to go on the inside. Right in there, there's a little lip. And this will just thread on. Now I didn't do it here, but just get in the habit of going left first, and then once you feel a click, you go right. Although because of the O-ring, it's a little more difficult to hear, but I felt it thread right away, so I just kept going. But here we go. Put it right about there. There's the spring. And once the spring is there, just pull it back and then grab the lower spring mount. And these have to clip onto the shaft. There we go. And then, there, now it's clipped. Now you can push them in. And that is pretty much it. Now I'm just going to move this all the way down until the spring cannot bounce up and down. That's because I don't want it to All right, that's good enough. So there's my shock. Just a quick note on the rear, make sure that you put the spacer in. So the rears are supposed to have one of those nylon spacers, so you're gonna have some left, but that's all right. Just make sure that you put one on. Right, my shocks are ready, front and rear. Now I get to mount them up. So this is pretty straightforward. This is going to go toward the arm, or in here. Just, let's see, so we're gonna mount this up. Actually, I'll put the bleeder up. And in here, because it goes inside of the arm, to be honest, doesn't matter. Looks to be about the same space. But we're gonna go ahead and grab one of these nuts. They are 5.5, so just grab your 5.5 millimeter driver. Now once your electronics are installed, this is going to be a pain. You pretty much need a wrench, just because of the angle. But since my ESC is not installed yet, I can get away with it. All right, so again, I'll put the bleed hole off to the side. It's going to be facing up. So it's not threading in for some reason. There we go. All right, these long screws, these are the ones that go in here in the arms. So I'm gonna go ahead and place this in here. All right, and that's just a 2 millimeter driver. So I know I said the orientation probably doesn't matter on that little metal barrel, but notice they're oriented the same way. Just in case there is a length difference, it's the same. They're oriented the same way. And again, bleeders are on the outside. Now on this side, it will matter. This side, this is going to go toward the arm. right, and that is it. So on the next one, we're going to start mounting the electronics, and we're going to go on to bag 10, which is our last bag, and then we do all the wheels, everything else. Now, if you have a bunch of parts left over, don't worry about it, don't panic. You're not going to use those. Well, these are spares. There's a bunch of stuff here that you're not going to use. This goes for the wing, so we'll use it later. But thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you have not. I'll catch you in the next one.
What? Oh, my hair! My arm! My rod!